Links, join the chat, come member here over at Subscribe. Get a mailbox, mail me some comics or perhaps a cool beanie. So LeVar Burton threatens to physically assault members of Moms for Liberty who don't want small children reading pruriently explicit materials, having that content in school libraries. So he threatens to commit assault and battery against mothers of children who want to be protected from a filthy degenerate like himself. So this is dealing with this bizarre virtue signaling of these idiots on the left who claim that their kitty diddling Weimar level propaganda is being banned. And they do this on social media all the time. They go like, there's these neighborhood book kiosks type of things where people dump off old books and pick up old books. There's a lending library type of thing. And so they'll post these huge virtue signaling posts where I'm filling this kiosk with banned books. And people are looking at them like, banned books in the neighborhood library kiosk? Yeah, I'm going to donate these banned. I think we have a different definition of what banned means. You mean the banned books you bought on Amazon? The ones you bought from Barnes & Nobles? Yeah, those are the banned books. That's not... Trump is a dictator, and he's such a horrible person. He's a fashionable one. That's not... You can't call... You can't even name dictators if they're dictators. That's kind of the definition. You know what that's not what those words mean. If he really was, you would be scared to death to criticize him. But you can say anything you want about Trump, and these books are definitely not banned when you can buy them on Amazon. Anyway, so these books with a prurient interest in kids are being kept out of schools because they're not age appropriate. It's just that simple. They're not banned. You're just a bunch of filthy effing degenerates. These people don't want these kind of people like him teaching their kids on how to sodomize each other. Sorry to be graphic, but if you saw these books, you'd ask yourself, you wouldn't believe. If I told you what the books were, you wouldn't effing believe it. And technically, under some state laws, the books would violate the state laws because they have people under the age of majority involved in prurient relationships. Yes, this stuff is really happening. Even, there's a lot of people who are loose, liberal, libertarians, and then, let kids be kids, and then you look at these books, you're all, holy cow, this is... Must not fit post. People like LeVar want to sexualize children because he's evil. There's really no... And he's an idiot. There's a couple other interviews where he kind of puts his foot in his mouth, and he's dumb, and nobody ever says, hey, LeVar, you're kind of dumb. Here's the things you're saying that are not in accord with reality. Because he always has that shield of saying, oh, well, you're istophobic. And the problem with that shield is you never have to engage logically with the argument. You just raise the shield and go, oh, you're istophobic. I go, hey, I'm a woman of color myself, so you're being istophobic. I mean, it's just nonsense. It just goes back and forth. Anyway, so the parents don't want this stuff in schools, and LeVar definitely wants this stuff talking about kids in schools. So he's at this book awards ceremony by Publishers Weekly, and he makes sure that the Moms for Liberty, before we get going, are there any Moms for Liberty in the house? No? Good. Then hands will not need to be thrown tonight. Host LeVar Burton, threatening to physically attack, assault and battery mothers of small children who they just don't want these books in the school library that their property taxes are paying for. I don't know if he has kids. It's weird. It is weird. I mean, how do I make this video for YouTube? Holy shit. There's a lot of these people who don't have kids of their own, and they're very much focused on how you raise your kids. I mean, honestly, I'm going to do this video for Subscribe Star later because there's just some dark topics about how the state, this is how these communists work, is they need the state to run your kids. And this is why homeschooling is like, it might be a Civil War level issue. I don't even mean that hyperbolically, because these people who don't have kids, they're really committed to the fight of taking your kids away from you. I mean, there's some hills to defend to the end, and that's kind of one of them. So I'm threatening to attack mothers of small children because they don't want your filthy degeneracy in the school libraries. That's pretty deep into Sodom and Gomorrah. And, you got applause for that, and you got a bunch of likes on social media for that. But I guarantee you, if there were people in the audience of that where they, they had to pretend to laugh or pretend to applaud at that. But, like, even liberal people, I know there's people in the audience who didn't think that was funny, because it's not funny. And we all say things like that, like, oh, we're going to you threaten violence against somebody, but you'd say it'd slip out of your mouth, and you'd be like, oh, you know what, that I shouldn't have said that. I'm just kidding. That came out wrong. Like, you immediately correct yourself because you realize, oh, I just threatened violence against, not just violence against the political opposition, which is, kind of stage one, but women, stage two, and then women of small children is like, in a nation, a natal into a tribe, the women with children, there's nothing more sacred than that, because they're carrying on the future members, the lineage of your tribe. It's profane what he's saying to threaten mothers of small children who want to protect them from this Luciferian, sinister path that him and his crowd are trying to push on people. You follow my argument here. I'm not articulating it as well as. You're not as clever as you. I know. I wish I could speak more better. But like what he's saying is a big deal because he's going after mothers with children that are not of his tribe. Because I don't think he has kids, so he's not in. It's like at one time a couple of years ago, the four main leaders of these European countries, none of them had kids. And when I learned that, I go, oh, you're headed for very dark days because they're not invested in the future, but they're doing things. Mother Merkel, the mother of Europe, yeah, how well did that work out? 2015. Anyway, so the toxic left wing normalizing violence in general and violence against mothers who want to protect their children from predators like LeVar Burton. And that's not a defamatory statement of fact because he is protecting books that have a prurient interest in children. That, by definition, would be what a predator is pushing because they want to sexualize those under the age of consent. So this hatred from the left wing is spotlighting the schism between these globalists and our side, the tribalists, which I think if I had to say one issue is the binary from what I've learned in having a YouTube channel over the past couple of years and focusing, relearning about modern comics, is if that's the one simple binary is one hand you have a tribalism. Like calling it nationalism or natal is a little bit confusing because like the nations aren't nations anymore. They're just commercial zones run by NGOs. So it's kind of easier to call things tribalists. But on the other side are these Bolshevik, globalist, communist, Marxists, whatever you want to call them. And the differences between those two things, like people of the blood and people of the state, are irreconcilable. Because these parasites are going full Bolshevik, where they have to brainwash the kids into these adult-child degeneracy. They have to get them young because they use this to destroy the family, the tribe, the nation. Alinsky Rules 101 from the that school of named after the hot dogs. It's easy to enslave and control a rootless people. That's why everything they do is to cut kids off from their tribe. They need to create the diverse Marxist found family so they can control these lost kids and shape them in any direction, any mold they want to shape them. It's the grow the tall grass theory. It's what you see. They call it deconstruction and dismantle of the of order and structure. That's just Frankfurt 101 type of destroying the nation. A conservative asks why the fence is in place before they tear it down. Istophobe says what? What was the fence keeping out? Only an istophobe would ask that question. It's what you see with Antifa and BLM. These kids will fall for any new fad. I've been following this found family concept in comics for years, and it's interesting because they're now starting to use that term openly, where a few years ago they weren't, because they've shifted the window so far to the left. But hey, we're doing the Lord's work on the alt platforms to shift it much further back to where it needs to be, to the dexterous path. So LeVar says it's his responsibility to teach children about degeneracy, that sodomy is the truth, that he's an elder in the sodomy community and he needs to teach the kids. There's no fixing evil this deep. And this stuff is really signifying the end of a nation as a whole, because there's no meeting in the middle. It's better to split into smaller autonomous regions for different tribes and belief systems. I always ask them when they have this conversation on Twitter is if they want Martin Luther's, Henry Ford's, the corporal's books taught, or at least in the school libraries, as well as various other authors. They never have a logical reason why some books about diddling kids should be allowed, but those other books, the political treatises and philosophies, they're banned for a good reason. Well, then you don't have principles if it's your side but not the other. That's like you don't have a foundation for that argument. So anyway, this guy honestly just seems low IQ, but he's in an echo chamber and nobody has ever pointed out the inconsistencies in his argument. He's not fighting for your kid's right to read all books, just his PDF books, but they love calling their books banned. The books I read and we want to read, or at least people should have the right to read, have access to, are not available in schools or Barnes and Nobles or even on Amazon. We have to pass around the hidden knowledge in secret and on private websites because when you're over target, you get flack. You lose your payment processors and bank accounts. And think of what LeVar is advocating for. What absolute evil is the center of the screen now is describing some of the books. I can't even show the images because in some states they're illegal. I'm in California, not in California, because California is interesting. It's not what it was just a few years ago. But you think about what he's advocating for: child-parent relationships, so those over and under the age of consent, and nothing happens to him. He doesn't lose his bank accounts, his payment processors, his talent agency, his attorneys. They don't all publicly quit on him. Nothing happens to him. That's how deep we are into this brave new world, where people who dare criticize him too loudly will lose their bank accounts and payment processors and start getting banned. There's no fixing this. Vote harder. You're not going to vote your way out of this. That's how serious it is. I know it, like, to hear a YouTube channel say all this kind of stuff sounds like just, don't cut yourself with all that edge, but tell me how you fix this politically through conventional political methods. Let me know in the, be careful in the comments. Don't use any hot words. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks again to Mr. Nature, Beg, and everyone else over at Subscribe Store and who's using the mailbox to donate for the other stuff. I'm setting up forming a militia in Montana. It's a prayer group. It's a spiritual retreat in like Idaho or something. It's just a live streaming fun. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I need $50,000 for a Discord. What are you talking about? Was that Nita Sarkeesian? Discord is free, and get on Telegram anyway. Telegram is based, and yes, it's a free. Any legally allowable speech is allowed on Telegram. So you're going to get some offensive speech, but it doesn't cost $50,000 for a Telegram or a Discord. What's that? Nita Sarkeesian, Zoe Coin. God, what a weird period of time that was. 2015, 2016. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.